Blog Talk Radio.
All right. All right, here we go. Very good, very good. Okay.
No weapons of mass destruction were found.
Are you kidding me? Do you buy that? There were.
I was 5 and he was 6. We rode on horses made of sticks. He wore black and I wore white.
Come on, let us shoot. Blair.
Bang, bang.
Hey, I need to get the brass to drop ramps. I got a wounded girl. We need to take the rest of mile. Oh, it's their fault for bringing their kids to a battle. That's right.
The main reason we went into Iraq at the time was we thought he had weapons of mass destruction. It turns out he didn't, but he had the capacity to make weapons of mass destruction. But I also talked about the human suffering in Iraq.
Hello, boys and girls. I have a special message for you from the President of the United States. I salute the boys and girls who are buying United States savings stamps and bonds, and they're giving important support to the cause of freedom and the men who fight for us in Vietnam.
Congress gave us this authority in August 1964 to do whatever may be necessary. That's pretty far-reaching. That's the sky is the limit.
As an American citizen, you have to respect our president, whether I like it or not. It's really not my decision, but I do respect my president, and I will support whatever decision he makes.
No weapons of mass destruction were found.
Are you kidding me? Do you buy that? There were.
Renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas and the Gulf.
Well, I have a number of people from whom I get policy. I'm talking to Frank Gaffney. I talked to Richard Haass.
And Richard Haass served under Colin Powell during this Bush administration over at the State Department. He's now the president of the Council on Foreign Relations.
The idea of a one-world community, a new world order. You know, they see that.
They see themselves as a government as opposed to a group of world leaders or people with influence at a global level who are talking about global issues, do they?
They see themselves as headhunters. They'll get an up-and-coming politician who they think may be president or prime minister one day, and as globalist, industrialist leaders who believe that politics shouldn't be in the hands of the politicians.
People talk to me about, the issue of Republican versus Democrat, as if they don't get it. And I say, look, here's the way you get it. It's organized crime. All you do is you call the Republicans the Genoveses, and you call the Democrats the Gambinos. The people at the top, they treat it like a crap game, like it's their crap game, like they're making lots of money. Occasionally, somebody at the table shoots each other, but the moment anything threatens their crap game, they all unite to protect it. They're both controlled by the same financial, economic, and corporate interests.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
It used to be more secretive. You know, the New World Order was talked about 30 or 40 years ago, and nobody would say it out and open. Now they talk about the New World Order, or they just think the world would be better off if we had one world government. Right. I don't. I mean, I don't even like the size of our federal government, let alone one world government.
There's a need for a new world order.
Within the next 4 years, we will see the emergence of a new international order.
The beginning of a new international order.
But there's a very, very clear-cut and easily identifiable system in place that puts all of these elements, from media control to government control to energy control, together into one apparatus working together effectively towards its final goal, which is, global control.
A new world is emerging. It is a new world order.
It's a phrase that I often use myself to.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Chuck Norris joining us in the next hour to talk about the global government takeover taking place right now in Copenhagen, Denmark. The takeover of healthcare, so we're all beholden to the government, making us dependent on them. That's happening as well right now. They're breaking it all down with Chuck Norris. I forgot he was good friends with Steve McQueen. I'm a Steve McQueen fan. Maybe I'll ask him to tell us a Bruce Lee or Steve McQueen story. Chuck Norris scheduled to be joining us in the second hour today. And then we do have Christopher Horner joining us, a senior fellow at the CEI, Competitive Enterprise Institute. He's exposing what's happening over in Copenhagen. He wrote Red Hot Lies, How Global Warming Alarmists Use Threats, Fraud, and Deception to Keep You Misinformed. And then we also have Dr. Niles Axel Morner joining us. He's over in Copenhagen, breaking down the fraud taking place as we continue to track one of the most important conferences in modern history. Well, the UN says it's the most important, and I agree with them. If they're able to ram this through, this is open establishment of total private, unelected banking government. I mean, we are actual profit of private bankers, pretty much already. By the way, I have a RAND Corporation report here in front of me. I saw this on the LRC blog by William Gregg. And I actually read most of the 190-something page PDF this weekend, and it was very painful to read. It just confirms everything we already knew. But the police are already being totally federalized. The U.S. Army is going to operate through the Pentagon a domestic military force called the... let me just read to you the actual... A stability police force for the United States, justification and options for creating U.S. capabilities. And it says that a Pentagon-run police force will run all the local police departments. Actually says it. Now, again, they propose it years after it's already in place. That's why they're putting Pentagon liaisons in all the departments and CIA liaisons in the threat fusion centers. I mean, this is so illegal, so dangerous, so un-American. This isn't a red flag. This is a red volcano erupting. I mean, this is run for the hills bad. This is worse than North Korea, worse than Mexico, worse than Communist China. I mean, this is complete federal death squads. And they state it's for the U.S. collapsing. See, the bankers are going to collapse everything. And a lot of people are only going to serve the government with that much more glee. A lot of people, as the tyranny intensifies through cowardice, will actually serve it and vitriolically praise it and convince themselves that they like it and that it's good, while even at a conscious level, knowing they're just cowards and they're scared to death of it. Very few times in my life have I experienced just the edge of that psychological phenomenon and then recoiled from it from my very core of being a sentient human being. But that's what George Orwell talks about with Crime Stop and Doublethink in 1984, how people instantly see corruption, instantly see oppression, instantly see hypocrisy and tyranny and degradation, and then just spin it in their own minds that it's a good thing so they can feel like they're part of the system and have power over it. Because deep down they are so deathly afraid of it. They think by laughing and smiling and giggling and having kind of an arrogant, haughty attitude that it gives them control over it. Just know this, everything being set up by private Fortune 100 corporations, everything being set up by our criminal, illegitimate government, everything being set up by the UN, everything being pushed is a unified global agenda on record that is a 180 degrees the opposite of not just our Bill of Rights, Constitution, Declaration of Independence, but the Magna Carta, the Geneva Convention, the Ten Commandments. I mean, any moral yardstick by any angle, whether it be sociological, psychological, from the angle of anthropology. If we were a civilization 100 years in the future, looking back on this time, it would clearly be stated this was a time of just absolute propaganda, mass drugging of the public, brainwashing, and tyranny. Going on in front of everyone, just outrageous crimes that the illegitimate global government practices and sets precedents to do whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want, with the media culture marinating the public mind in torture and abuse and slavery and degradation and humiliation and tyranny, and packaging it in a sicky sweet envelope of we're the good guys, we're the good people, we're saving the world. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, we have just begun the plunge. We just went off the cliff. When you hit the bottom, when all of us hit the bottom, in the years to come, when we bounce on those rocks at the bottom, it is not going to look good. It is not going to feel good. Okay, right now we're just falling off the side. And a few of us got our bloody fingernails into the side, sliding down, just hopefully trying to find some purchase, hoping to find some place to grab hold. And spiritually obese and decadent people are hanging off of our legs, pulling on us, screaming, let go, you're keeping us from heaven. And so don't worry, they're going to get what they want. We're going to hit bottom. And they're so brainwashed, so drugged out, so stupid, so cowardly. They've been brought through successive programs of intensifying corruption, accepting lies, that now they believe lies and evil are good and that good is bad. And so many people are going to love the tyranny. They're very childlike, very dog-like. It's like taking an old dog out that's got cancer, and you don't want to take it into the vet to have them put it down that way. You know, that actually scares them worse. They can smell the death in there. So you just walk them back on the back 40. You've already got their grave dug. You pat them a little bit on the head and stick the .243 rifle butt to the side of their face and smile at them and tell them you love them and pull the trigger. But instead, the New World Order doesn't love us. It enjoys putting a bullet in our head. But we're just like the dog, though, lovingly having no idea. You ever watch the footage of the Soviets and the Nazis running people they were going to execute into shallow grave pits? And they run one group of men in, and they dutifully bow to the soldiers as they run by, submissively with their hat in their hand, and show them how they run quickly and step over the dead bodies, and you know, because all they want's the approval of the authority figure, the uniform. They want the approval. Oh, blow my head off. Ooh, you're wearing fancy black boots. You've got little fancy buttons on your caps, like a king's crown. Blow my brains out. I'm not going to run by you and grab you by the throat and try to rip your nose off. No, I'm not going to have any humanity to fight back. I'm going to run down into the pit. And that's what America is. You know, you look at those people in Europe and call them cowards. No, it's the peer pressure. 90% of Americans would run their children into pits to have their heads blown off and would thank the officers who did it. Because they worship it. You want to live in a police state? You do. Drive down the road. Half the billboards I see are government admonishments. The government's the mommy, the daddy. It's bossing you. Spy on your neighbors. Don't abuse children. Don't smoke pot. Oh, do you have a gun? Oh, there's an old lady missing. Because the government, it's the one that cares. It's the one that tells you about the old lady missing. Just all the message that they're the good guys. And you watch shows like Cops. Everyone's a white trash scum. Everyone's got drool coming out of their mouth and missing teeth. Everyone's guilty, and the cops are in fancy uniforms and all have their stuff together. And the image is the public's all a bunch of scum, and the police are God, and only they will save us. You know what happens in cultures where the police are worshipped? You die. You become slaves. But you don't want to face that, do you? You just want to be throttled by government. Owned by big corporations, and don't worry, you are. They're going to take everything you've got. And they're going to take your sons and daughters' minds. They're going to come home and preach at you about the global government and the carbon tax and rebuke you over your firearms or rebuke you when you try to discipline them. And they'll scream and beg to come home after the CPS takes them. But that won't matter because the news will never warn the other kids. And it will go on and on and on, being trampled on by tyrants. But don't worry, in this new system, you're going to get to trample people, though, when you spy on your neighbors and cattle. You won't care if you get trampled on as long as you can trample on somebody, too, because that's all that really matters to you. You know, I keep giving a decade-old number. I'm sorry, it's 60 million abortions, because they're not humans, and neither are you.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Samuel Adams, First Chief Justice John Jay. Names synonymous with the spirit of our country, founding fathers of the USA. Over 200 years ago, they shook off the chains of tyranny from Great Britain by divine call. Citing 27 biblical violations, they wrote the Declaration of Independence with liberty and justice for all. But something happened since Jefferson called the Bible the cornerstone for American liberty, then put it in our schools as a light. Or since give me liberty or give me death, Patrick Henry said, our country was founded on the gospel of Jesus Christ. We eliminated God from the equation of American life, thus eliminating the reason this nation first began. From beyond the grave, I hear the voices of our founding fathers plead, you need God in America again. Of the 55 men who...
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war. But there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. if we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better read than death, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shockers round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals. And he said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
All right. Okay. Get this unmuted here now. I believe we are live here on Blog Talk Radio. Storing Our Republic. Gibson Media here. Go back to the studio screen. If I can get back up to my studio screen and see who's in the studio with me here. I think there was a couple of people on the queue that were there, so that's good. Hopefully we get a few people on there. I see Sarge in the chat room. That's great. Okay, Sarge, I'm on YouTube Live right now, too, broadcasting, trying to get this YouTube channel hooked up. I've been putting it off for so long. I've been trying to get it hooked up and it coincide with Blog Talk Radio. So hopefully you can hear me okay, Sarge, without any problems. A couple issues here I want to address with these podcasters out there. Sarge came up with a great idea to do a show that addresses communism, addresses socialism, and basically, I guess, talk about where it came from and what the true meaning of these Marxist beliefs are, and to really expose them for what they are. And that's good. You hear me good? Okay, that's good, Sarge. I think this is a good pilot show right here to open up which I got one of the main players right here, Sarge, with me on the line, to talk about this because it's a powerful subject and it can take many shows to talk about it. But this woke agenda, there goes my camera. My camera just fell down. Time out for a second. There we go. I can't see it, but I know it just fell down, so I can only imagine what YouTube looks like right now. Anyway, this woke agenda, this powerful agenda that is out there. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because last night I was on Liberal Dan's podcast show. And it was me against 26 or 27 of these zombies in his chat room. And literally, I'm gonna play a little bit of it here, if I can, and so you can hear what transpired. Now, I've been trying to get Liberal Dan and some of his liberal buddies to come on to my podcast and do a debate, a discussion, with the facts, addressing the facts to what policies are really hurting this country and why the liberal agenda is no good for America. Let me get to this Liberal Dan show. I'll see if I can pull some of it up here, and hopefully I can. If not, I know I can, and hopefully I can get to the part where he's talking about me, and I can play it if I can get to my studio here, or I can get to YouTube. I might have closed it down, so I'll reopen it if I can here. Let me just reopen it if I can. I'm not sure if I can or not. Darn it! I had it up and running all freaking day, and now there it is right here. I got it. Okay, I'm gonna play this for everybody, and we'll see what happens. Go in here. Right. And let's play it.
Right. And so
that's his guest.
I was pissed off that they.
Okay, here we go.
My neighbor is being shot up.
What's this fat man right? Let's play this if I can hear it. Nope. I am not hearing it. I think my internet just had a hiccup, and because the internet had a hiccup, I think my my Blog Talk Radio signal has crapped the bed. So I think we've lost. Y'all hear me now, but I don't think P-Dubs lost me. So let's see if I don't know. I think I would have to get my phone and call in if I wanted to be able to do all those shenanigans, but I don't know if I'm going to be able. Let me just go ahead and I don't know if she's. I'm just going to go ahead and hang up and just see what happens with that, because I think my connection is. Oh wait, that's the wrong thing. Hold on.
Let's speed it up here.
So just to remind everybody, here is we'll talk about. Call back in next show on Monday, and we'll see about getting that taken care of. Call back either before the guest calls in. If we're short a mod today, but if you think that they're being bad to you, then be the better person, take the high road, and let the mods deal with it. Because if you're gonna strike out and lash out even worse, then it's just going to escalate, and I don't want that in my chat. I don't want my chats to escalate. I want my chats to be good. I want my podcast to be a place where people from all sides of the aisle can have good, honest debates. And if you can't have a good, honest debate, then don't debate. Then don't say anything. Because I don't want you causing me to lose people who I like. So that's the thing. I don't want to lose people who I like just because I'm trying to be the person who is going to be the one who tries to reach out to people on the other side of the aisle and has good debates. We've had good discussions. I think we've had some good discussions in the past. I think we can continue to have good discussions in the future, but not if you act like that. So, and I'm drawing a line. And apparently I've now lost one person from my subscriber list who has had enough of you and who apparently doesn't like the fact that I've had you on my show. No, I'm upset about the fact that Benny Loco, who is a good person, who is somebody that I enjoy, somebody that I like interacting with, somebody who has a good streams herself. I'm upset now that you've gone too far and made her not want to be around my channel. And so if I have to choose between you and Benny Loco, I would choose Benny Loco. But Benny Loco has already, I guess, unsubed from me. So I try and tell my viewers and to try to tell the people that to try and be patient and try and deal with some of the stuff, when you voice a difference of opinion. But when you voice the things that you voice, and I'm sorry, P-Dubs, I see you're on the phone. I'll get back to you in a second before we end the show. We have differences of opinion on a lot of things, right? So we can disagree on things. We can discuss the issues. I mean, we're never going to agree on the whole 14th Amendment thing about it not being legitimately passed. So I think that's just a non-starter, and I don't think we can just whatever. And I do think Benny Loco could simply just block Gibson Media and have that at the end of it instead of following me. I think that might have been a better answer, maybe. But I'm also not cool with the idea of you telling somebody to go drive into traffic either. So, and again, we're one mod down. Maybe we're even two mods down because I haven't seen Jolie in a hot minute. So it looks like there's nothing going on right now mod-wise. And so if I can't trust that people are going to be in best behavior, I'm just going to have to tell you just to, chill the heck out or not come into the chat. Okay, hey, Jolie. I'm glad you're still here. But, look, I think I've had, and I think that, honestly, and Benny Loco, again, and the problem with Benny Loco just blocking Gibson Media is that when you call in and we have a discussion, she's still going to hear you. And if you can't be somebody who is going to be a good, honest debater.
Agreed.
I mean, I had Ken Good on the other week, the other show, 2 shows ago now, I think. I think that was last Wednesday when I had Ken Good on. He's a conservative. I don't think anything that he said was to the point where it caused anybody to be mad at the fact that I had Ken Good on. They may have disagreed with what he said, but nothing that he said made them mad that he had them on. Things that you have said have made people mad that I've had you on. So, and Kimchi's like, honestly, I don't see why you think having this guy even on his way of debating, his knowledge base is severely lacking. Part of the reason is because of the fact that, as I've said before, you've seen it happen before. We've had discussions where I've made a point, and I've effectively, made points to Joseph Gibson, and he's agreed with my points. If I could make him think about things in a different way, if I could bring up arguments that make people who are so diametrically opposed at a core level to many, many issues as we are, if I could make him think about things in a different way and break through the differences that we have and make him think about things from a different angle, then I think that's a start of what needs to be done to break through some of the BS that's going on in our political sphere, in our political discussions, in our political debates that are going on. But is it worth it to get one little concession for someone to disrupt? And that's the thing. It's not worth it for that much disruption. It is not worth it for that much disruption. And you're right. If you're going to be that disruptive as you were in today's chat, then, Kimchi, don't shut up. You're making very good points. You are making very good points, Kimchi. I don't want you to shut up.
Kimchi is the one that started most of it.
If you were going to be disruptive like you were tonight, then I don't want you around. Because I would rather have the people. I don't want to hit 1,000 subscribers if it means I'm going to lose the people who have made the channel great so far, right? You said it yourself. You said, lose all these people and I'll get you these other people. I don't want those other people. Okay? I don't want the other people if it means I lose these people. These people have been with me for over a year and a half now, I think, because Hal was on last April, I want to say, April last year, April 2022. So when Hal first came on the show is when I started getting a lot of the people who are in the chat now coming on. And
left here.
Gaining the people that you think you might be able to bring to my show is not worth. I'd rather stay unmonetized, honestly.
Now listen to what he just said.
I'd rather stay unmonetized and keep Benny than have you bring people into the show and have that happen.
His goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers.
That's the deal.
But yet he doesn't want to get to 1,000 if he has a conservative on his platform.
Because I'm willing to extend olive branches only so far.
Which isn't very far.
I'm willing to have other people. I think part of the things that makes my show different than Hal's, I think part of my thing that makes the show, I think, good, and I know it's frustrating to some of y'all, is that I do have people call in who are who have different opinions, who I debate, who I discuss. And I do give them more time than perhaps y'all might like. But part of the reason is that I want to show people how to deal with those things. I think that part of the problem on the left is that we need to do a better job debating the points that are brought up by the people on the right. So if you watch my show and see the interactions that I have with conservatives, you then see how to make good arguments, and especially when at the end of the day we're able to say, "Oh, well, I didn't think of this way." So I think that's a benefit, but it's not a benefit if there's going to be
Now listen, everybody. This is the liberal agenda out there. This is how they
not a benefit. Gibson, no doxing. Wait, what makes no sense? Hold up.
This whole thing.
Hold up. What makes no sense? It makes no sense that I would want to keep my current level of subscriptions and not gain all of the people that you could bring in simply because I care about the people who have currently brought me to the point where I am now.
Which is no way.
That makes no sense. Am I interpreting that correctly? That
yes, you are.
You don't understand why I would want to keep the people here.
Yes.
And not grow. Why I'd rather not grow and keep the people here than dump the people, all these people, and grow. If that doesn't make sense, if I'm right in interpreting you right, if I'm interpreting if I am interpreting you correctly, and that is what you're saying, then that clearly shows the difference between liberals and conservatives.
It sure does.
Because you're willing to throw away good just for a buck.
No.
I'm not willing
I want to get rid of the bad for a buck.
I'm willing. I'd rather keep the good quality people. Bicycle Mike, Kimchi,
good
Benny
quality
Lopez,
people.
Jeff, everybody. I would rather keep that. And here's the thing. Just because you claim that somebody has no integrity, it doesn't make it so.
It sure does if they can't prove that
I believe that, and if you say you keep pushing, you're going to get doxxed, how does that show that you have integrity?
Well, when you threaten my mother...
That doesn't show integrity at all.
And you threaten my family, you're darn right.
Period.
You're going to get doxxed.
With the T at the end. Now, Bicycle Mike, there's no need to say meet me somewhere.
See?
That as well. That's also not okay.
Yeah, he wants
to. Don't, again, as I said, don't escalate. I'm deleting that. Don't escalate.
Delete everything
I'm asking
they say.
Gibson Media to not escalate. I'm asking you to not escalate as well.
How could you ask me not to escalate when the guy already did? He threatened me.
I'm asking both to not escalate.
You threaten someone, you will get a reaction.
Threatening to dox people. Bicycle Mike here has, there's doxing people is not okay.
If they threaten people, yes, it is. Okay. They put me in timeout.
You agree with what?
So, we'll shut him down here. May come back to him here in a little bit, but because he goes on for about another 4 or 5 minutes. That was last night, okay? And good quality people, translation, folks, ideologically in lockstep with me. This is the thing, and just to give a quick explanation of this, is there was no podcast on last night, so I went over to his platform, and I entered the chat room, and a couple of people said, "Hey, Gibson Media, how you doing?" And I said, "Hi, how you doing?" And immediately this guy, Bicycle Mike, "Oh, this guy's back again. Oh, I think I'm going to leave. This idiot's here." And immediately the 27, 28 liberals start attacking me. And I haven't even said anything but hi so far. But they know me from previous shows, and they know I do a podcast, and they know I'm a conservative. But they automatically, so I let it go for a while. And then after about 25 minutes, he was nearing the end of his guest there. Someone made an insult about my mother, and then about my children. That's when I said, you know what? I've had enough. I told the guy, the bicycle guy, I said, you know what? Hey, Bike Mike, or whatever you call yourself. I said, why don't you go get on your bike and drive into traffic? Drive the opposite way of traffic, because you're not supposed to do that when you ride a bike. It's a sure way to get hit. So I said that, and then the avalanche occurred. I'm threatening people. I'm insulting people. I need to be banned. Liberal Dan, help! All the people started calling for the host of the show to ban me. And that's when he came on and the conversation started. So this is the typical... Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, because this is the typical way that liberals handle arguments. We've seen it. We've seen it with Warren, Brother Warren. Not my brother, but Brother Warren. We've seen how they react to adversity, disagreement, or facts, or truth. They can't handle the truth. They can't handle it. They never can. They can't have an honest discussion. They can't have an honest debate. They can't do it. Simple as that. Because once you prove something to them, they immediately go to the name calling. And they immediately twist everything around, and then it's the end of the world. They're calling 911 on you. They're trying to get you jammed up. They're trying to get you removed from platforms. They're trying to get you shadow banned. This is what the liberals do. That's how they handle their situations. They sound like a bunch of Brother Warrens, yeah. Start something and then run whining from a comparable response. Exactly. You going to call in tonight, Sarge? You're going to call in. I've got a pretty much empty board here. If you want to discuss this, when we can do it, maybe line up a show here on this communist. I forgot how you wanted to do it, actually, how you wanted to tackle it. But trying to expose this communist manifesto that's out there. Because, look, we're divided down the middle in this country. We're divided right down the middle. And we must address it. We're going to be arguing with these people. We will. And it has to be addressed. It has to. So we've got to educate the people on what a lot of people really don't even know what socialism really is, or what Marxism really is, or what the communists really, they just don't get it, I think.
because they make China appear to be like this great country, this great place to go on vacation, a place where you can get jobs, a creativity. I mean, it's hilarious, man. So 657-383-0616 is the phone number. Call in, press number 1, and you can voice your comments and your thoughts on this communist, or you want to talk about the unseating of this man in the House of Representatives. This seems to be a big issue here that's playing out here. Okay, we got Sarge on the line here. And those of you in the YouTube channel that are watching, this is Blog Talk Radio here, Restoring Our Republic. So, I think this is Sarge. Let's hope it is. Go ahead there, fight a caller.
Yeah, Joe, you got that exactly right. I think part of the problem is people are simply unable to recognize what wokeism is. And what wokeism is not just wokeism. It's not something that just popped out of the ether just a short while ago with a rather cutesy new name. It's Marxism come Maoism with an American twist. And that's why a lot of times people don't realize it for what it is. Well, I mean, ever since the Army McCarthy hearings and all that stuff with McCarthy, which admittedly, even though he was right to a great degree about the extent of communist and Marxist infiltration in the various sectors of government, he frequently identified the wrong targets. And as a result, the people who tried to point out the ascension of Marxism and communists in American society got discredited. Not because Joseph McCarthy was wrong about the fact that it was happening, but he often identified the wrong target and was easily discredited as a result. And ever since then, people are almost afraid to point out the obvious parallels and antecedents of Marxism come communism, come political correctness, come wokeism, because it's all of the piece. It's been mutating from its original incarnation as Marxism to what we call today wokeism. And when we try to bring all of it together to people, if we have a show where we discuss this from its beginnings with Karl Marx, well, actually it goes back to the French Revolution, which is really kind of probably the inspiration for much of Marxism. But in its modern form, it started with Karl Marx and his philosophy when he wrote his thesis, Das Kapital, and later the Communist Manifesto. And all the people who helped to engineer the takeover of Bolshevism and communism and Marxism in all these countries. And when it failed and they couldn't figure out why it failed, they turned to new strategies. Because the one thing that's good about Marxists and Bolsheviks, they don't give up when they fail the first 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, 8, 9, 10 or 100 times. They just go on to another strategy. That's the only thing good about them. And they do it endlessly. Wherever they have come to ascension or made a serious attempt at ascension in any country in the world. The history, the record is clear. And we need to make people aware of this. They just don't seem to be aware of it. How did this happen? Where all this craziness come from? It didn't just come out of the blue. This year we've been infiltrating the high ground of all the cultural institutions of society for at least 60 to 70 years. At least. Actually goes back further. I say it really starts going back about 1921 after the failure of the worldwide communist revolution. And all these revolutionaries and Marxists couldn't figure out why it didn't happen in the wake of World War I. They didn't understand why the workers of the world didn't unite. And they began to sit down and try to figure out why their strategy failed so utterly in most places other than in Russia.
Yeah. You just summed it up pretty well. I like how you started there with World War I. But what about the roots of it before World War I? Where was it entangled at, and how did it really begin? I mean, this agenda.
Well, in the United States, it probably began to get inroads with the progressive era, and that would be in the late 19th century. They would do John Dewey, the eugenics movements of various types, the beginning of the feminist movements of various kinds, labor union strategies. That's when it started in the United States now. In Europe, you had all sorts of socialist communes springing up all over the place. Germany became a socialist state under Bismarck in many aspects. When it unified in a one nation. But again, the first really successful Marxist revolution was in Russia, with the takeover of the Bolshevik Revolution, and they were really thinking that this signaled a worldwide dictatorship of the proletariat, because the workers of the world were going to unite and they were going to institute a dictatorship of the proletariat, wherein the people, through Soviets, what they called Soviets, the workers' councils, would dictate the means and distribution of all goods and services, which, of course, never happens anywhere. You always have an elite that runs everything, a centralized elite that runs everything in every communist or Marxist country that ever comes to be. It never gets down to the proletariat dictating anything. But that's supposedly the communist ideal. I mean, at least in Marxism, that was the ideal. I mean, in classical economic Marxism, ultimately, after all the class warfare had succeeded and all the theories were enacted, the proletariat, the workers, would dictate how society's production and services were distributed through Soviet councils. That's what it was. It never gets there. It never got there. And that's why these people always say, well, we know it didn't work in Russia, it didn't work in China, it didn't work in East Germany, didn't work in Hungary, didn't work in Bulgaria, didn't work in Romania, didn't work in Africa, didn't work in South America, but this time we're going to get it right, because we're going to really turn it over to the people. And it can never get there, because Marxism is contrary to human nature. We got to keep stressing that. Marxism, in all its incantations, is contrary to human nature. That's why it never works.
Yeah, and that's perfect. Actually, that's what has to be stressed to the young people. The young people.
But we have to explain to people how these things come to be, because a lot of people just, that sounds so good. I mean, who does not want people not to be nice to each other? Who doesn't want people not to say offensive things? Who doesn't want people not to be fear from want or being hungry? Well, who does? How can you possibly oppose that and be a human being? And see, this is how they do it. They take all of these things and they say, our goals are to ensure that no one is hungry, no one is unequal, no one is offended, no one has to fear from want, no one has to worry about being oppressed or being a victim of capitalist exploiters or any of the other things they put there. It's always cloaked in good intentions, and when you're young and stupid, particularly when you're going to college, you fall for this crap. It's rather easy, actually. That's why all these young people are so stupid. I was. They had me too. When I was, at age, people going to college, I was believing most of the stuff.
Well, I mean, it depends on the product of your environment, too. I mean, it doesn't discriminate, that's for sure, but most people will buy into this woke agenda that come from neighborhoods or communities that are not, don't have any jobs, they're poor,
I don't agree at all there, Joe. I think the biggest appeal for Marxism today, the biggest single sector is with middle-class people, particularly those in college, working in the media, and working in politics. That's where the biggest appeal. This is a top-down revolution, what we're looking at now. It's not bottom-up. It's from the top down. The elites are dictating this socialism and Marxism to us. I beg to differ. Look at Disney. Look at the people running Disney. Wait a minute. Look at the cultural agenda of the Disney organization. Just look at it. It's stuffed full of Marxist ideas. And they're all among the elite earners in society. Look at the news media.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point. On that. Yeah, I mean, I guess, I just figured that we see more of the Antifa marching around in the cities than we do in the country. You know what I mean?
Most of them are middle class. They're not poor. Most of them are disenchanted, disaffected, alienated middle-class youth who are rebelling against their parents or whatever. A lot of them are trust fund babies. I mean, you're amazed how much money they may not have access to immediate capital, but through their parents and their families and their inheritances, a lot of them got a lot of dough. Yeah, there's a few, stormtroopers at the very low level, but I would say a great deal of, if not the majority, a great plurality of people who would be considered solidly or upper middle class, like Bernardine Dohrn and Ayers, and those type of middle class aspirants. Hillary Clinton. Look at the limousine liberals out there in the Democrat Party. Name one. They're all like that. Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama. Like I said, Hillary Clinton. Eric Swalwell, Adam Schiff. The squad. Anybody on the squad. I mean, AOC grew up a trust fund kid. She wasn't a bartender. She took that job temporarily, but she grew up middle class. She went to upper level tier schools. She wasn't poor. She was on a Brooklyn accent. Like, she was that well, but there's no way she was. I mean, look at the backgrounds of these people. These people are not what they try to pretend to be as they attempt to identify with the poor. They're all better off than average. Many are significantly better off than average.
Okay. I'll
they learn this crap in college.
Yeah, okay, I'll buy that. But again, so what do we do when we are confronted with them like I was on this podcast show? What do we do out there? What's the average person? Because you're not going to change their mind, clearly.
What you were confronted with on that show, what I heard from them, is a classical leftist trope. What they do, the brother Warren shtick. I'm a victim. Okay?
Yes, you are.
We got to understand what this wokeism is. Much of it, look, they can't use the old jackboot armband wearing tactics of, say, National Socialists or, say, communists. They can't quite do it that way in the United States. They have to come up with a new way of inhibiting speech and thought. And victimology on the intersection scale is called intersectionalism, where you have all these competing hierarchies of victimized people who have been oppressed by the capitalists and white supremacy or whatever, insert whatever type of oppression you want to put in there. Black conservative comfort support dogs or whatever. Whoever's been oppressed by the various, whoever it is, just rank them intersectionally where they belong. So to give you a crude example, at the very top of the intersectional pyramid.
I got Bianchi on the line too. So I'm going to unmute him while you're talking.
Okay, but let me finish this up here. At the very top of the intersectional pyramid would be a disabled, lesbian, black woman, AIDS victim, suffering from obesity. That'd probably be at the very top of the intersectional scale. Now, you subtract one or two more of those classes, you see who ranks lower on the intersectional scale, depending upon which one of these liabilities, as they see it, is subtracted from the equation.
Okay.
See, and by doing so, by ranking everybody that is favored in the favored class as a victim, and everybody who is not as an oppressor, then you get the class structure that is vital to Marxism. Remember, Marx said all progress is measured by dialectical materialism, meaning the warfare or the strife between classes of people. And Marxists always assign people by class. Always. They just change the titles around. Homosexuals, every now and then, they might assume a different place on the scale. Workers might assume a different place on the scale. But everybody is structured into a class. Everybody fit in one or more of these class structures they obtain in order to gain and maintain power. Just keep that in mind.
Okay. Bianchi, go ahead. I don't know if you heard your show so far, but where we started off, but I was attacked last night on Liberal Dan's show by about 27 liberals in the chat room, and then eventually kicked off the platform.
What you going there for?
Oh, I knew he was going to say that. I knew it.
You got to go where the enemy is. Hey, wherever the enemy is, you seek him out and engage him on the field of battle.
Exactly. There you go. There you go, Sarge. That's right. I was out for the attack last night, you know?
Well, you're not going to change them. I hate to tell you guys that. You're not going to change them.
What about the people, Bianchi, that are listening on the side? What about the silent ones that haven't made up their mind yet?
Sarge, you remember back in the day when blacks had their own little shows, the whites would call in and go through a nigger diatribe.
Yeah, I remember that quite well.
Get all upset and start talking about their mama. I say, just let them say what they going to say, then they'll leave. Well, they don't come back and do that no more now, do they? Just
they're looking
to
get a rise. They're looking to get a rise out of you. That's pretty much all it is.
They're not going to change. They are not going to change. Do what you do. Keep them away from your kids. The main thing you can do. Don't spend money with them. I use Pure Talk. I don't use Verizon.
Right, good point. Good point. You answered my next question then. How to defeat them? How to defeat them? Don't entertain their thoughts, right? Don't entertain their thoughts and don't engage them, right?
But we need to be able to tell people what their thoughts are because, remember, on the surface, their ideas are very attractive. Let's not forget that. They have a surface appeal that for most people who haven't studied them and don't know the baleful effects that their policies will ultimately have on everybody, it sounds nice. Who wouldn't want people to be equal? That sounds like a nice thing to be and have.
No bail? No bail? Hey, I like that idea, right?
I hear what you're saying, Sarge, but I asked the question. Why come they don't affect my kids like that? You talk to my grandson. They don't affect him like that. I wonder why.
Oh, because you've inoculated them, sir. See, you have done an outstanding job of inoculating them because you have a mind as to how you want your children educated, and you've taken pains to ensure they're educated that way. Most people turn their children over to the state, and they're not inoculated against this.
Uncle Tom. He's ashamed of his rape. That's what they say.
That's what they say. But Bianchi's inoculated his children against because he knows what he wants. I would venture to say most parents trust the state to raise their children properly, at least as far as education is concerned. They're sadly mistaken, but that's what they believe. They put their faith in the state to do it.
Yep.
Well, I had a discussion tonight with a person that's running for Secretary of State and someone that was running for the school board. And I got somebody and I told them this. I said, you can't depend on them to educate your kids. That's the parents, the family, and the society, the community. That's who educate the kids. You can't turn your kids over to the school district. And if you don't do the things that's necessary to make sure that they're not indoctrinated out of the way of thinking that you, a parent, should want them to go, then I don't know what to tell you. Joe Gibson, honest to goodness, I don't know what to tell you. But except for one thing that works for me. Leave them the hell alone.
Okay. Well, you know my policy about not censoring people, and I know I took flack for having Warren on my show, but I want to be bigger than them. Why am I going to play their game? I want them to be stupid on my show so they could be exposing themselves so everyone else can hear how idiotic and pathetic their policies and their standards really are. You know what you need to have? You need to have a period in your show where everybody's on there and say, ask them, do you understand what's going on regarding what you just said? Then if they don't, then send them to somebody else to teach them.
But you can't keep doing this with your people that already know over and over and over. Soon you're going to lose them. They ain't coming back.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, I see your point.
I see his point there. I understand why that could be concerning. But again, the problem is that these ideas have got such ascendancy in so many places. I mean, look at these big cities where so many people live. Their policies have succeeded. They have taken root. Yeah. They've taken over. These big cities are impossible to ignore. I mean, I would love to be able to ignore Chicago and Los Angeles and New York and Philadelphia and Detroit and all these other places. But we can't. They're just too big. They got too much electoral power. We can't ignore them.
Yeah. You know,
you're dangerous.
Absolutely.
See, I wanted to look. I'm not kidding. I don't want to make an accommodation with them. I want to destroy their influence. I do. I want to wipe out the influence of leftism, Marxism, and liberalism and progressivism. I want to end it as a meaningful force in society forever. I don't think we can do that unless we expose it.
Yeah.
I don't want to make an accommodation with them. I really don't, other than what we have to, because they have the right to vote. I mean, okay, I'll concede that. They got the right to vote. But I don't want to make any accommodation with their poisonous philosophy whatsoever. It's got to be exposed so people understand it when they see it. A lot of people don't even understand it when they see it.
Yeah, we're not condoning violence in any type of way. We don't want, to go anywhere.
Oh, when I say destroy, I mean as a matter of influence. I'm talking about destroying their influence on the political system and on the cultural, social, educational system. I want to destroy their influence on it.
Because his tiptoe zombies, they're liberal Dans. I'm sure they're listening to my show and hidden in the airwaves someplace.
Oh yeah.
And
look, all we got to do is cite. Look, all we got to do is cite the little record of murder and slaughter of Marxism and socialism around the world. There's no arguing it. We're talking about in the 20th century alone, from 1917 to the end of the millennium, to the beginning of the millennium. We're talking at least 100 to maybe 125 million people. That's a record unparalleled in human history.
Exactly.
In all the incarnations of death and slaughter.
So what you said is absolutely truthful, Sarge. We're going to have, and Bianchi, we're going to have to deal with these people somehow, some way. They're our next door neighbors. They're the ones we're buying groceries from. We're the doctor's office we're going to. We're going to have to deal with these people. They're the enemy. They are the enemy. Yes, they are. But we've got to deal with them. That's the problem a lot of people are having today, and how to overcome this main issue, this sickness in America.
Well, the enemy are the ringleaders. Now, that's who the enemy is. Most of the people are just misguided, useful idiots, or simply ignorant. They don't know. They don't know any better. Like I said, it sounds good. When you listen to the word equity, that on its surface just sounds so good. Who wants to argue against people being equal? I mean, aren't you a good person? Don't you want people to be equal? Equality is what's in there confused, equality and equity. Like they're the same thing, and they're not.
Yeah. Oh, this guy was bragging, Bianchi, about how Joe Biden is going to forgive all his school debt. And he helped, and that is the greatest thing Biden has done now. That the school debt is going to be wiped out, and thank you, Joe Biden, you're my hero.
Yeah, sure, buddy. Keep believing that if you want to.
Oh, Bernie Sanders is their god. Bernie Sanders is their god. I mean, is he going to run again, you think? Or is he just too old? I mean, he's got to be, 98 now?
Well, but what do you think about RFK, though? RFK, I think, is something will have a meaningful impact on this race. Now, the what way, I don't know, but definitely meaningful. I mean, he'll be a 2024 Ross Perot. There ain't no doubt about it. The only question, in what direction does he Ross Perot?
Sarge, I'd be careful, because I've heard a lot of people that are diehard conservatives say, what are people talking about RFK? We didn't like their policies back then. You know what? All of a sudden now they change.
That's what I mean.
You know.
That's what I mean. I say he's going to have an impact on this race if he gets into it.
Yeah.
The only question is who is he going to have the most impact on?
I know. That's what I'm worried about. Because we can't lose any voters, that's for sure, with the election fraud that's going to be happening. And we got 6 million new voters coming into the pool here.
No, here's what I'm thinking. On the surface, I'm thinking he's going to have more of a negative impact on Biden at first glance. But what about the people who are looking at RFK as an alternative to Donald Trump? How many people is that? Is it significant? That's the question. At this point, being as early as it is, I'm not going to say for sure. Again, I'm inclined to go with he's going to hurt Biden more than he is Trump. But who knows in this volatile political climate? Who can predict anything with certainty? When have you ever heard a speaker being ousted from his goddamn seat before? When did that ever happen before? Everything that's happened is unprecedented. Everything. A former president's indicted 4 times. You got a crazy judge trying to run him out of New York and lose all his business license, and there's no fraud at all being committed? No injury to anyone? Everything is unprecedented.
It's insane. You know, I mean,
I ain't making no solid predictions about nothing except there's going to be something dynamic and changing, and I don't know what the fuck I don't know what the hell is likely to be.
It's scary times, man. Scary times. You know. I mean, with Ukraine. What about Ukraine? What are we going to do about Ukraine? What the hell is the United States going to do? What's the end game here with Ukraine?
Man, I am in touch with people in Ukraine. I correspond with about 6 people in Ukraine. They're all saying the same thing. Corruption and despair. Everywhere they look around them, they're seeing the Russians grinding the Ukrainian army into dust. And they're saying the corruption in the Ukrainian government is everywhere. They're all telling me the same thing. I can read you a letter from one person. It's really sad the way this person looks at this thing. I'm telling you, man, I'll get it for you in a minute and read you what this person says.
Okay, yeah, I want to hear this.
Man,
I want to hear
I'm telling you, these people are really, and we got people in our government wanting to keep this slaughter, this circus of the slaughter going for their own ends. It's a disgrace.
Yeah, it is. It's Oh, it's disgusting. I know what you're getting at, and I just imagining it in my head because I know what they're doing. They're propping up a ghost army. You know that just can't fight. That there's no way Ukraine, even if they win, they're not going to be able to sustain themselves. You know.
They're fighting. Their soldiers are actually fighting quite well. They're just being overwhelmed. I got to keep stressing this. Russia has yet to commit its reserves.
Yeah.
You understand the casualties the Ukrainian army has taken, and Russia has not even committed their reserves yet.
Remember World War II? You know, remember.
And we did it like, okay, the Germans were at least inflicting casualties on something of an order like 10-1 or greater than they took. Again, that still wasn't enough to defeat the Russians. The Russians are inflicting more casualties on the Ukrainians than the other way around.
Yeah. Oh man, I tell you what, I think it's going to usurp us into World War III. This Ukraine.
This needs to quit, man. I mean, this is just they're grinding that country into the dust. It's going to be decades in recovering if it recovers at all. People are leaving by the millions. They're leaving the country. They're going to Poland. They're going to Western Europe. They're leaving the country. The cream of their young manhood is being slaughtered on the trenches in the eastern part of Ukraine.
Convention of the States. What's going on with that? As far as I know, they send me emails all the time, but really, I don't foresee that being fixed the problem now either. That's going to cure everything. I mean, it's a great idea, but we're not going to get everybody together.
But Joe, I don't think we need to cure everything right now. Okay, think of a ship, a warship, and it's been pounded by enemy shelling. Okay, let's say a battleship, right? They shot away the radar. They almost destroyed the bridge. They've put holes in the communication system. There's fires raging all over the deck. They got the after gun mount just turrets completely knocked off. All kinds of horrible damage that's got to be repaired. But in addition to that, you got a whole bunch of holes below the waterline from torpedo strikes and whatnot. It's taking on water. The bilge pumps ain't working, and you got a 20-degree list. Out of all the things that are wrong with the ship, those three things are the biggest. You got to counterflood the damn thing. You got the bilge pumps working to get the water out, and you got to get back to dry dock so you can fix the other things. So you got to keep it afloat. Right now, we got to keep the ship estate afloat so we can get it to a dry dock and repair everything else that's wrong with it. We can't worry about fixing everything. We're not going to do it.
Well, some key things that you got to, some key things that has to be fixed, and that's the education of your kids, because it's just like bailing water out of a boat that's got a hole in it. You know, you keep bailing it out and it keeps coming in. So at some point in time, these kids going to get grown, and they're going to be fighting against your ideology because we're not controlling what's been fed in their brain. That's why it may not be the only reason, Sarge, but it's a big part of why stuff don't work together when you take unity in order to make it work. Your kids fight against you.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to do something about that. That's one of those innumerable things. We got to do something about. There are so many things that are wrong. We don't have enough time on your show, Joe, to go over all of them. But there's some things right now that we got to worry about just to keep the ship estate afloat. I'm talking about if we want to keep the ship estate called the United States Republic afloat. I'm worried about things that are keeping the thing sailing, keeping it afloat. It's sinking.
Sinking back. It might be already almost sunk. Capsizing.
Not yet. Because more people, at least you can see people starting to wake up to this. People starting to say something about it. So I see hope on the horizon.
I've seen more of the waking up. You're absolutely correct. Than I've ever seen before. You know, but hey, I'm on YouTube anyway. Everybody that's listening on Blog Talk, I'm on YouTube right now, live too right now. So I'm trying to expand here because Bianchi made some critical juncture points there last week. I can't campaign and win on Blog Talk Radio, so I'm expanding my horizon to YouTube. Yeah, you've been giving me some low shots there, Bianchi, lately.
Hey, man, he's just trying to make you sharper, that's all. Constructive criticism is good. Constructive criticism is good criticism.
It's like your doctor. If your doctor do tests on you and the tests come back and say you got prostate cancer, what you want him to tell you? You got indigestion?
There you go.
You got that right. You got that right, man. You got that right. But Bianchi, so Convention of the States, I mean, is that something that I should stay away from right now as a candidate? Or what do you think?
No, you should go to them because they are organized in your state. And
no, I've already
Listen to me. You know, here in Louisiana, you have 34,000 members of that organization working on the action side, the 501c4 side, that help to get bills passed and also to get them overridden by a governor who vetoed them by contacting legislatures in the numbers. And the legislature said also, hell, I got 1,700 emails say I should be voting for this.
Yeah. Okay.
It worked.
All right. I'm down with it. I signed up, like you said. I've been in touch with them, so I'm all for it. You know, fighting and fighting for the republic. You know, I mean, that's what I'm about. Restoring the republic. That's what I'm about. Restoring the Constitution. Not so we can go back to slavery, Bianchi. Not so we can get rid of the 14th Amendment and enslave the African people. No, that's not what it's about. It's about restoring freedom.
Well, you know, let me tell you something, and let's talk about blacks in particular. Now, I know this happens to white too, but I can only handle so much on my plate. Black kids in these inner city schools, and not only inner cities, but these urban schools, they are in slavery. They are in slavery.
I agree.
And we don't have to go through the details. You should be able, and you know the thing about it, like I told these people tonight, I say it is a national security issue when you have a segment of your population that you haven't even allowed them to explore the talents that they have, that they can contribute to the progress of the society of the United States. That's terrible.
I know. But I don't see no changes happening in your community either. I don't see anything happening where that's going to,
That's because the people today was the kids of yesterday that we didn't educate accordingly. Like I educated mine, and a lot of other people educated theirs. Now you fighting them. Now they are exploiting. Talk about Ukraine. I'm willing to bet anybody that Zelensky is sharing any technological marvels with Russia. Hell, Khrushchev was a Ukrainian.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. They don't. What do they have? What does Ukraine have that Russia could possibly want?
Weapons technology that were given to them. The weapons technology, let them take a look at it.
Absolutely. And Ukraine has got what? U.S. dollars that Biden has been given, and you better believe that they've been splitting it up.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Now, one thing about export weapons that is usually the case. The Russians do it. The United States does it. They have, when it comes to weapons, what they call an export version of, say, the M1 Abrams tank. They don't give the export version all the bells and whistles that the ones they issue to the United States troops are. They're kind of a detuned version of it, okay? That's usually the case with most weaponry. But you got to remember, the Russians, when it comes to much of the stuff they're getting, like artillery, even thermobaric weapons, the Russians already have theirs. They are very familiar with the concept. They're not going to learn a whole lot more about that kind of stuff. Now, the tanks, the aircraft, and like I say, the export versions are going to be probably detuned. They're not going to be the very, very high end that our guys get. But still, they can always learn something from it. That's true. So there's that to consider.
All right. Well, it's miles down the road. I mean, we don't know what we don't know. We're in trouble right now. We got a long way to go. We'll worry about Ukraine. We got to worry about our own backyard right now. But Ukraine is part of the conversation, unfortunately. I mean, how much did we give to them already? $460 billion, is it?
And I'm telling you, Joe, I always admire any people who put up a good fight militarily. I mean, I got great admiration for that. And they're fighting. Some of the troops are doing some things that are just, legendary stuff. When it comes to vote, they just don't have the strength. They don't have the strength to beat back this Russian bear. They just can't do it. They're about ready to start drafting women.
I know.
What does that tell you?
I know. How many Americans
it's like they're getting to the level where not the Germans were with the Volkssturm. Remember? Yeah. How desperate you have to be. They're going to beat back the Allied armies, and the troops that were running rampant over Western Europe and most of Russia for the first 2 to 3 years of the war are all dead, prisoners, or wounded. The best troops, trained, equipped, and prepared troops some the world's probably ever seen relative to their opposition, and most of them are gone by now. And now they're getting old men, women, and boys. Ukraine is almost at that point.
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of the Russian troops surrender, some of them. I've watched them surrender, and those weren't just
they're getting thousands. Yeah, look, every war, look. What do you think the United States Army looked like on the Schnee Eifel when Montoya's 5th Panzer Army surrounded 106th Division and took 2 whole regiments of American soldiers prisoner in one go. 8,000 American prisoners in one go. You ever seen those documentaries where the German propaganda newsreel photographers are photographing all these prisoners of war, thousands of them lining up and getting captured by the Germans? It happens in a major war with a major power. Yeah, they're going to get their victories. They're going to kill Russians. They're going to capture hundreds and thousands of them. They did that in World War II. What was the outcome, Joe?
Not good.
Okay, I'm saying the outcome was the Germans lost. They unconditionally surrendered, despite the fact they took almost 10,000 American prisoners in the Ardennes alone.
Yeah,
10,000 United States prisoners in the Ardennes. 10,000. That's what? Almost a division.
Let me say this.
Go ahead.
You and I talked about this before. When it comes to describing the German army, as we describe certain individuals in the black community, what we say is this: they were something else.
There's no two ways about it. I'm sorry, there is no two ways about it. It's like Field Marshal Montgomery, who had a great deal to do with defeating them in 2 wars. He fought them in 2 world wars. He said this. He says, "You do not know war until you have fought the German soldier." And he was right. I mean, the German fighter pilots had victory totals the world will never see again. They had dozens of aces with 40, 50, 60, 90, 100, 200, 300 victories. 300 aerial victories. Top scoring United States ace of all time had 40. I mean, I've never seen anything like these guys. I never heard of anything like these guys.
Yeah, I mean, but the material, the capability of sustaining itself, Germany was it just couldn't do it. I mean, no matter how many countries.
And it's the same thing with Ukraine. It's the same thing with Ukraine. Ukraine is the reason they got to go beg at everybody for war goods. They don't have the industrial base to make everything that they need.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
They don't have it.
Well, if the United States hadn't entered the war, we'd probably still be fighting that war. That war still would be going on. France and Britain wasn't going to do anything with Germany.
Oh, no. France, no. But Britain, I mean, Winston Churchill said he slept the sleep. When he heard that Hitler declared war on the United States, he said he slept the sleep of the saved, because he knew the industrial might in the United States was going to make all the difference, and he was absolutely right. Untouched, the American industrial power, untouched by bombs or worry of invasion, could just churn out material like no one else in the world before or since, and that's exactly what it did.
But that's not the case today. Do you guys know how many different UV car makers of vehicles, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20, at least 25 different companies in the world that's making electric vehicles, pickup trucks, and cars.
I know. Oh, it's coming.
So
it's coming.
Now listen at this. See, Chrysler was making cars, then they switched over to start making war goods. Done a damn good job at it. If we had to go through a war like World War II today, we couldn't manufacture like that. Plus, you got these other companies that's doing the same damn thing. So it's not no one supply. They're all over the place. The technology.
Yeah, but mass production, Bianchi, mass production, that nobody can outdo the United States. We have the land capabilities to produce and build more. We have the factories that whether shut down or not can be reopened, because we have the man need jobs. So they can't.
You might have the buildings. You may have the abandoned buildings, but you don't have the people. We have got some of the dumbest in this country today that has ever have been. And I know it sounds strange, but it's true. They don't know how to do that stuff. I mean, it just ain't in them. There's an old saying with a fighting dog. Some dogs ain't worth a damn for fighting. It ain't in them.
Well, I see your point, Beyond, but you have to remember one thing. Now, one thing the United States had an abundance of during World War II, even when they had to retool in order to make, war materials, we had an abundance of skilled machinists. I mean, there was no shortage of skilled machinists in the United States. None. That was the problem was just putting them where they needed to be to make the stuff. Today, there aren't as many relative to what there was then, but they got computer-animated design, and a lot of this machinery that does this machining is now computer-controlled, and that kind of makes up for some of it. The question is whether they're able to tool up to produce the material necessary. That's the question.
Correct. That's the $1 million question.
Yeah. So, I mean, the computer, all you got to do is program the machinery. It'll churn the stuff out even faster than skilled human machinists can do it. I mean, you can take a skilled machinist back in the 1940s, he could take a chunk of steel and machine a Browning automatic rifle receiver in about an hour. Yep, there you go. Right out of a block of steel, next thing you got a Browning automatic a machine gun receiver, just quick.
Not a chance.
Out of a block of steel. They don't do it
Well,
that way anymore. They got CAD to do it.
I know what they did back then, but in your university, these are Chinese that's teaching computer sciences. They're teaching many engineering courses, and especially your advanced applied math. They're not Americans. Always remember this. Blood is thicker than water. I don't give a damn where blood is thicker than water. It's just like that old Star Trek film. When you had Darth Vader and what's that guy?
Star Wars.
The kid.
It's Star Wars.
Yeah, the kid, and then the kid. It seen Darth Vader seen that the old man was getting ready to throw the kid in the hole. He said, "To hell with you, old man. You've been my boss, but you're getting ready to kill my son. Blood's thicker than water."
Yeah. Yeah.
You're talking about the Emperor.
Definitely got a point there.
How do you remember that, Bianchi? Yeah, man, that's 85 years ago, that movie.
Man, Star Wars was a great parable, man. Star Wars is a parable. That's what it is, science fiction. It's a parable.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sure is, man. Sure is. Well, I'll tell you what, thoughts, anybody? Unless you got some more comments. This is a good conversation, Sarge. We're going to have to... This was on my pilot program.
I still think we need to do that show about Marxism in all its details and how people can recognize it and call it for what it is before it takes root. Once these things are like weeds, man. They take root. It's so hard to uproot them and get rid of them.
Well, Sarge, that's what I want to do. This was my pilot show for setting that up, man.
I welcome the opportunity to be involved with it if you decide you want to do it.
Yes, you are down. You are my number one man on that because there's no I can't win without you.
I think you could, but I think I could contribute something meaningful to it because, man, I hate what they're doing in my country. I just hate it. They're doing it to the armed forces, man. You understand what happens when it might work in the Red Army, but look what the Red Army had to do to make it work. They had to purge their army. They had to do away with 50,000 of their own officers and men in the Great Purge, and it weakened them when the Nazis invaded. They purged their own ranks.
Wow.
In fact, they purged their most capable officers, like Marshal Tukhachevsky, who was coming up with far-thinking concepts like deep battle, operational strategies, a form of Russian blitzkrieg. He was very innovative and forward-thinking with the use of armored vehicles and airborne drops and all kinds of innovative stuff. He had a lot of charisma. He was an excellent leader. Stalin got paranoid, worried about him taking over and maybe in a coup, and he just took him in the basement of Lou Bianchi, tortured him, made him sign false confessions, and then stood him up against the wall, put a bullet in the back of his neck. This is the way these people work. They're doing the same thing to our armed forces. They're purging it of COVID deniers. Look what they did during COVID. They purged our armed forces of some of the best troops we had at the time.
Did. They sure did. Well, who's on tomorrow night? Who's on tomorrow night?
Joe, what's your website? What's your website? I hope you do get elected. What's your website? On Facebook. I'm on Facebook. There's one guy here named Gibson. He got big arms and tattoos. That you?
I don't got no tattoos, but I got big arms.
Yeah, that's Joe. That's Joe. Yeah, you can see the guy. That's Joe.
Well, how do you donate to your campaign?
You gotta go. I'll put the link in the chat room.
Well,
you go it's right there. All you gotta do is click on my page, and you'll see it, Bianchi. You'll see it.
Sarge, get it and text it to them when you get a chance.
Hang on, I'll send it to him. You know, I appreciate you. I mean, I rally. You know what I really want, though, Bianchi? I need people to spend time on the phones calling people, and I know that's harder sometimes. You know, because time is very, very important.
Yeah, robocalls don't work so good, man.
I know. Your phone is terrible. It's restoring the republic, the voice of the people. Hang on, I'm gonna send you the link right now. And you're like, oh, I got a couple donations already. How about that, huh? Couple of them here. Hang on. You want me to put it in the chat, Sarge?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'm putting it in the chat right now. There she goes. I need your email, Bianchi. Why did it send that big link? I don't know why. Hang on.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, hang on. I'll see if I can get it. Yeah, but Bianchi, time is because calling these people and letting them know who I am as a person, and why we need people like me and you and other people out there, because we need grassroots people that aren't going to sell out, that are not going to sell out. They're going to stand up for what they believe and fight no matter what. I can't buy me out, man. What the hell am I going to do with all kinds of money? I've already had that in my life. It ain't no fun. Everybody bothering you. But, come on, man. I got enough money right now, just enough to get by. That'll do me just fine. Let me see. You got the right link there, Sarge?
Well, money. Yeah. Which one do you want? You want Bianchi's link?
Hang on one second. What, you want Bianchi? Yeah. What's his email?
Is it okay if I send it, Bianchi?
I may already have it.
Hello?
Yeah, you can send it.
Yeah, he said yes.
Yeah, all right. I'll send it to you. I'll send you his email in the chat, in the private chat.
No, in the private chat. Yeah, private. Yeah, 'cause you don't want these
private chat. Yeah, private chat.
Look, these damn scumbags out there. Those brother Warren. I'm the one that got Warren kicked off. That scumbag.
I did not know that for sure.
Yeah,
no, I didn't know that. But
and Sarge, that's a lie. What he said, that email that was sent to him too. That's a lie. That's not what was said in that email. I wrote that email.
Heard the show. So you heard the show then that he put out there, right? Well, he lied his ass off again as usual.
Yes, I know. He's lying his ass off about you.
He always does. What do you expect? That's what he does.
And that guy, I knew he was going to cut you off at the end there. I knew it. I said,
well, actually, he was running short on time. I'm not going to complain about the time he gave me because I was surprised he gave as much as he did, actually. So I'm not complaining about it. I mean, I wish if I'd have called in earlier, I think I could have done an even better job. But I got in at the very end of the show.
No, you got it in. And I like how you said, I'll prove you wrong right now. I'll play it for you. Did you really have it on ready to play?
Oh, yeah, I did. I had the whole thing. I had two audio examples of him just telling outright lies, particularly about what I said and what he said about others. I had 3 examples I was ready to put in the. He probably wouldn't let me put all 3 of them in there anyway, but I had them ready to go.
Sarge, I'm going to put my email in the chat. You send my email to Bianchi. How's that? Send my email to him. This is my personal email now. All right? Yeah, I think you already got it, Sarge.
Yeah, I'm sending it to you.
Okay, I gave you some money to. I gave you some money to buy some pork and beans, so at least you won't be hungry.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a little taste too, man. I'm gonna send you a little taste too.
You know what? Listen, I just want to tell you guys, like I always meant what I said. If we have to fight in a foxhole, I'll die. Be happy to die beside you, man. You know, we got to fight.
Not me. I'm gonna try to keep on kicking. I hate to leave you, but I'm gonna try to keep on kicking though. I'm letting you know.
You know what I need. If the hole gets overrun, I'm not going as prisoner. I'm not going to be a prisoner, Sarge.
Well, I can understand that.
I will not be taken alive, man. No way. But yeah. You know, so anyway, Sarge, when you want to do this? When you want to do this show? I mean, but on this.
Well, it's your show. You got to tell me what days you got available.
Well, do you think Tuesdays are my? And
remember, I was kind of hoping we could get maybe I don't know, Sally, Laurie, and Donnie in on it too. Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. We better do it on my staple night.
So what we got to do is talk to them and synchronize it.
Okay, all right. So tomorrow night we'll start lining it up. Then let's do it like that. Yeah, good idea, Sarge.
Yeah, all right. Let's do that.
Because really though, because when these people call into these podcast shows, like Bianchi said, we don't need to give them the time anymore. You know, we don't need to do it. Because look what they did. Look how much distraction Warren took away from what we were doing at that time. You know, when you think about it. And look at you almost saying you had a stroke.
He did do that, but also in addition to him frequently hijacking the show, which I do confess he often did, we also exposed him for the. See, Warren is valuable. Listen, not because he is himself. He is so typical of what they do. He's almost a perfect example of how they fight. I mean, perfect. All their little rotten tactics, Warren did. He's an object lesson.
His name? So, hey guys, you guys know him. Is this him right here? Is this his name? Because somebody sent me a message on Facebook, and I think it's him. It says Warren on there. Hang on a second. I'll get to the thing right here. It says New Orleans. He's from New Orleans, and his name is Warren. So hang on. Let's see. I'm going to say right now. Where the hell is that damn?
Why do you give him that much time?
He's not on my. No, he sent me a message.
Well, you can.
I want to know if
it's
him,
Bianchi.
I want to know. Look, Bianchi. I don't know who follows me on Facebook. I got 6,000 followers. You know. I got Judge Napolitano. He just added me finally. So.
Look, man, this guy might accuse you of murder. You never know. He accused me of wanting to murder, remember? It just makes things up.
I know.
He has the potential to be dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know if this is him or not, though. He's with this guy. Hang on, I'm getting this loading now. It's loading slow tonight for some reason. This guy, say he's with Warren. Thomas Warren. Is that his name? Thomas Warren?
No, I got no idea. I don't know anything about him other than what he presents on Blog Talk. I don't know anything. I don't really care to know, actually. Other than the fact that if you can find out who he is, this guy is underhanded and sneaky. He is a Marxist, man. He's the kind of guy who'd lock you up in a gulag in a minute if he had the power to do so. He would.
Well, Sarge, this is the guy, Thomas Warren. It looks like that crybaby voice. That's who he is. It's a black guy with glasses. He looks like a nerd. Hey, definitely not in shape. He's a pudgy little guy. A little geek, a little nerd that, runs around crying all the time. It wouldn't surprise me a bit.
I told him, I said, man, look, I said, look, man, because I remember, I ain't going back to jail to be whooping nobody's ass again and have to pay almost $5,000 to get myself out of trouble. But I told him, I said, you want to meet me in the gym, just let me know. We'll get a referee there and everything. And we'll go, I don't know, 3 2-minute rounds, whatever. I said, hey, that ain't telling you to murder. I said, in a gym, a licensed gym with a referee. And I say, when you're ready, let me know. I'll pay for your ticket, or I'll pay for the ticket to go there and meet your ass.
Sarge, didn't he say he teaches kids? Didn't he say that?
I believe he did at one time, yeah. I think so.
Well, you guys, I'm gonna put his Facebook link, this guy's Facebook link in the chat. You check it out. It's not marked private, so anybody can look at it, and that might be him. So this way here, for the future. You never know. In case he tries pulling any shit with you or anything. Hang on, I'm gonna put it in the chat now. This might be him. It sure as hell looks like somebody that he would be. There, that's a Facebook link right there. That's got to be him, man. That's got to be him.
Uh-huh. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, let's not worry about him overly much, other than if he manifests himself again to bug us.
Well,
I'm not really that worried about it. I'm not really worried about him. Like I said, the only interest I have in him is what he says on Blog Talk and how he exposes himself as a perfect stooge of Marxism and racial identity, racial Marxism. He's a racial Marxist. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He is a perfect example of what they are.
Conservative Nation. Conservative Nation just joined the chat room. Hello, Conservative Nation. What's going on? I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube also, doing a live stream on YouTube. Trying to get. Oh, that's right. You're blocked from YouTube. So he said he got kicked off YouTube, so he's not on YouTube no more. But
you're on YouTube now?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube right now. I'm on YouTube
I didn't know
right
that.
now. I'm trying. I'm trying.
I'm having internet trouble. I'm having internet troubles again. God damn it!
Hey now, don't be taking the Lord's name in vain now.
I'm sorry. I can't get. I can't.
Guys,
yeah.
Hey, final thoughts, guys. Come on now, Bianca, you go first because you like to hit the sack early. Come on, talk to me, man. Talk about this Marxist revolution out there, man. How we gonna fight? I like that advice. Just stay away from. Don't give him time. I really put a lot of thought into that. But go ahead. You get the last word. Go ahead.
Well, look, everybody's valuable in what it is that you got a good goal. You got to work for it and stop being distracted. You never will get anything done with that distraction. And believe me, they'll die off and go away. I've seen them come and I've watched them go. So that's what I got to say.
You're right. You're right about that. You're right about that. Oh, wait, Bianchi, real quick. What's up with you and Shabaka, though? I mean, what's going on? What happened with that now? Now you got him wanting to hate you. I mean, and I stuck up for you. I was like, man, what are you talking about, man? What happened? He hung up on you, or you hung up on him, or something? What happened? Sorry, you were part of that show too, I guess.
Yeah, it was like mutually assured destruction.
Those two ain't gonna get along. I already knew that from the get-go.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's like oil and water. You just can't mix it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well. I mean, Shabaka ain't that bad of a guy, I mean, I don't think he is. I mean, he's just confused, that's all.
Well, you know what? I actually, here's the thing with him. I think he came up in a time when, because you remember, the Black Panthers used to go on campus up there in California where he was, and they would be selling copies of Mao's Little Red Book all over the campus. And they actually debate with people about Marxism. Yeah, they could try to pull that, black leather jacket, black beret intimidation thing. But much of the time, they would actually debate with people and try to bring them over to their cause. I think Shabaka is a holdover from that era of Black Pantherism.
I think you're right. Because, I
not
brought
like
Bobby
today.
Seale the other night.
Not like today. They're not the same. They ain't the same bunch as they were back then. No, not by a long shot.
Oh, no. All right, Sarge, get the last word here on our topic, socialism and Marxism, so Conservative Nation can hear too.
Like I said, I do believe that Marxism is the single most evil philosophy of our time. It is not consonant with human nature. It was invented by a man who suffered from innumerable psychopathies, and I will deal with them when we have the show on Marxism. Karl Marx was a basket case of neuroses and psychiatric pathologies, and his and his philosophy reflect that abnormality. Believe me, this dude was, every loathsome human trait you could think of, this guy had most of them.
Amen to that, brother. Amen. Well, I'll tell you what, Bianca and Sarge, you had two guys that are battling against this woke agenda. I'll tell you that right now. I like one thing that Bianca did say, though, one night on another podcast show, and that's one of the things that caught my eye. He said it's our fault. You know, it's our fault for not doing our duty out there, for not fighting. We've allowed this to happen, you know, and we can't allow it any longer, man. We just can't. We got to put a stop to it. So, what do you want to play here at the end, Sarge? Ronald Reagan?
That's kind of hard to go wrong with Ronald Reagan. You might want to play Dwight D. Eisenhower's military-industrial complex speech one of these days, too.
Yeah, I think I got that one. Well, I'll tell you what, I got the one from my petition here. We'll play that one here at the end. That one's a good one. That speech there at the end there. Oh, you guys will like this one, trust me. Bianca will probably hang up, but let's play it. Let's play this one right here. Hang on here. Here we go. Let's see here. Here we go.
Because things have to get before you do something. Do they have to take away all your property? Do they have to license every activity that you want to engage in? Do they have to be throwing you on cattle cars before you start to say, now, wait a minute, I don't think this is a good idea? How long is it going to be before you finally resist and say, no, I will not comply, period? That's a different answer for each person. Ask yourself now, because sooner or later you're going to come to that line, and when they cross it, where you can say, well, okay, cross this line. Okay, now cross that line. Okay, now cross this line. And pretty soon you're in a corner. Sooner or later, you've got to draw a line and stand your ground, whether anybody else does or not. That is what liberty is all about.
I speak to you as a fellow citizen of the United States of America, deeply concerned about the welfare of our beloved country. I am not here to tickle your ears, to entertain you. I will talk to you frankly and honestly. The message I bring is not a happy one, but it is the truth. And time is always on the side of truth. Truth must be repeated again and again, because error is constantly being preached round about. I realize that the bearer of bad news is always unpopular. As a people, we love sweetness and light, especially sweetness. I am sorry to say that all is not well in so-called prosperous, wealthy, and powerful America. We have moved a long way and are now moving further and more rapidly down the soul-destroying road of socialism. The evidence is clear, shockingly clear, for all to see. With our national prestige at or near an embarrassing all-time low, we continue to weaken our domestic economy by unsound fiscal, economic, and foreign aid policies which corrupt our national currency. With the crass unconstitutional usurpation of power by the executive branch of the federal government, anti-spiritual decisions of the Supreme Court, all apparently approved by a weakly submissive rubber-stamped Congress, the days ahead are ominously frightening. It is imperative that American citizens become alerted and informed regarding the threat to our welfare, happiness, and freedom. No American is worthy of citizenship in this great land who refuses to take an active interest in these important matters. Stand up for freedom. no matter what the cost. It can help to save your soul and maybe your country. May God give us the wisdom to recognize the dangers of complacency, the threat to our freedom, and the strength to meet this danger courageously.
And then we print and we print and we print until we can print no more. And we expand government until it is so large, so crippling, so all-encompassing, so controlling. As it grows, the discontent in the country continues to grow, and people have to be stopped. Well, for the good of everyone, we've got to take this right away, or we have to silence this person, or we have to cripple this company, or we have to put these executives in jail. And before you know it, you are left with nothing but a rotting government. You are left with nothing but a group of people in Washington who you don't trust now. And yet, they'd have all power. You give them the power of the banks, they control all of the finances. They control the way businesses grow. They control you from cradle to grave. And in the end, it collapses because that system doesn't work. And as it collapses, you either have a fascist dictator step into control that gigantic government because your people are used to living under slavery, and we have completed the cycle that our founding fathers talked about. You have completed the cycle of starts at slavery, and then it is freedom and great enlightenment and prosperity, and then apathy and corruption and slavery. It does not have to end in slavery. But it's our choice. And it's our choice now. And while everybody else wants to talk about the stupid events of the day, while everybody else wants to talk about, did A-Rod take steroids? The hell cares? Well, everybody else just wants to talk about the Republicans and the Democrats. Could we please ask each other the question, who are we? Do we believe, here's the question, are you willing to do the tough thing now? And I mean, have pain beyond your wildest imagination. Let's look at the worst case scenario. Are you willing today to live through great pain, have great suffering? Are you willing to lose everything to save the future for your children? I am willing to lose my job, my fame, my fortune. I am willing to work with my hands in the soil. I've never done it before. You don't want to eat around me because the carrots are going to be malformed and very small. The potatoes are going to stink on ice. I don't know how to grow anything. I don't know how to shoot anything. I certainly don't know how to gut anything, but I'll learn. I'll learn. Or would you just rather have somebody else take the risk?
You got it right there, guys.
I want an answer.
You got it right there.
My answer is I'll suffer for freedom tomorrow. I will pay the ultimate price for my children to be able to be free. I will not stand before my God, and when he asks me, when all of this was going on, Glenn, what were you doing? I put men in charge. In no time has there ever been wise men, better men, more ethical men, more enlightened men than the founding fathers. I orchestrated the whole thing so they could get together and they could create this. And then they fought for it, they bled for it, they died for it. And then they passed it on to you, and you stood and did what? I was afraid. I didn't know what to do. I just listened to the people on television. I just wanted to keep my house. I was afraid. I refuse to answer that way. We, as a country, were founded on divine principles, through divine providence. And we must once again mutually pledge to each other our lives, fortunes, and our sacred honor.
All right, man. What do you think of that one, Sarge? All right, man. What do you think of that one, Sarge? I got my thing going in the background. All right, guys. Have a good night, man. God bless the Republic. Take care. Be safe out there.